But before making the announcement, I would like to take a few moments to talk about Ukraine.
To strongly condemn Russia's continued attacks on civilians in Ukraine. Les frappes de la Russie contre les civils en Ukraine.
They were hitting the civilians in Ukraine, and this is completely unacceptable. This is a criminal act from Russia. This is terrible. People are just there living their lives in Kyiv. They're sending their children to the parks. They're going to work on a Monday morning, and they're hit by missiles. This was targeting civilians, innocents. So we can see that Ukrainians are brave. They are defending their own territory. And Putin is having a hard time. He made a big mistake. He underestimated Ukraine and Ukrainians. He underestimated the resolve of the Western countries to defend democracy, to protect it. And what is Putin doing? He's bombarding civilians. He's killing women, children, innocents. We can see that these are illegal, unjustified attacks. And Canada will stand beside our allies to repel Russia.
Yesterday, I spoke with President Zelensky and offered my condolences on behalf of Canadians regarding the tragic deaths caused by Russia's actions. The Russians' missile strikes on civilians, on innocent people commuting to work, kids playing in parks, are targeted at civilians and civilian infrastructure. There's no military targets in there. It's just a recognition that Ukrainians have fought so bravely, and the world has stood so solidly by their sides and behind them, that Russia's decided to take this to the next level and attack innocents. We remain committed to holding this Russian regime to account and to supporting Ukraine, including with financial, humanitarian sanctions and military assistance. That's what I told President Zelensky. And today, Minister Anand announced the deployment of approximately 40 combat engineers to Poland under Operation Unifier to train Ukrainian sappers as part of a multinational effort. We will continue to support Ukraine and democracy against Putin's authoritarianism. This morning, we gathered in a virtual G7 meeting, and we heard from President Zelensky, who kicked us off with a strong request for continued solidarity and assistance by the world, which we assured him we would give.
On Ukraine, you spoke out against Russian action today. President Zelensky is speaking to the world community. He's asking for more assistance, more aid, military aid. Could Canada more? We're already doing a lot, but could we do even more? Oh yes, we can do more, and we will do more. This is what I told Vladimir Zelensky when I spoke to him yesterday. This is what I repeated to him today in the call we had with him, with the other G7 leaders. We all said that we have to continue to move forward. We recognized the courage and the strength of Ukrainians, and how important that is to push back against the Russian invaders, but also to defend the principles on which all our democracies are built. We will continue to be there with weaponry, with training, with the humanitarian aid, economic assistance as well, to keep the country going and working. This is a commitment that all G7 leaders have signed on to, and we will do more as a country. The Minister of Defense is in Poland today to announce that we'll be stepping up military training in Poland, as we're already doing in England. Thank you.
As I told President Zelensky yesterday, as during our G7 leaders call video conference this morning, When we heard directly from him, we reassured him we will continue to do more to support Ukraine militarily, in terms of humanitarian assistance, in terms of sanctions against Russia, in terms of economic and financial assistance to continue to keep the lights on and people paid in Ukraine. We see that this is not just a fight for Ukraine's territory, but it's a fight for the principles and values and rules that underpin all of our democracies. That's why, as a world, we stand with Ukraine against Russia's illegal actions that are causing far-reaching consequences beyond just Ukraine, in a global food crisis, in a global energy crisis, contributing to inflation, contributing to the challenges families are facing all around the globe, including here in Canada. But we know how important it is to stand with Ukraine against Russia, and Canada will continue to.
Hi there. I wanted to go back to the situation in Ukraine. President Zelensky has asked for an air shield specifically to block Russian missiles. Do you feel that that's something that could escalate the situation, or is it an option that's on the table?
Vladimir Putin has decided that since he's struggling on the battlefield, he's going to have to start bombing civilians. He's taking out Ukrainian infrastructure ahead of what is going to be a difficult winter for Ukrainians, as it will be for many of us, because of Putin's actions. Putin has decided that attacking civilians and civilian infrastructure is the right choice for him to make. He's wrong about that, as he has been wrong about so many things since the beginning of this war. And we will continue to stand with Ukraine and stand for the kind of values that Putin is attacking as he attacks Ukraine. That's why we will continue to be there to supply military aid, humanitarian aid, financial aid. We'll continue stepping up on sanctions. We'll continue with training. We'll continue standing with Ukraine, because it's not just about Ukraine. It's about all of us and the values and principles that underpin all of our free democratic societies.